In this video, we will analyze where and how exactly J-Hope started manifesting himself more extensively through his lyrics, and how this process had an immediate effect on his art and songs through the release of new versions of his old songs. By definition, introspection is examination or observation of one's own mental and emotional processes, or the ability to be able to look into yourself and undergo an analysis either of your current situation or of the growth you have undergone. This process of introspection pretty much works as an extension of the understanding of oneself. So, if you make an association, in Chekhov's artistry, introspection is very beautifully highlighted in his extended versions of his songs like Blue Side and What If Dance Mix. This video initially started as an analysis of the two songs mentioned above, but in the process, I realized when and how the extended version of Blue Side became the bridge which connected his art, especially J-Hope's growth in his art, and the two albums Hope World and Jack in the Box, and therefore where did all this process of introspection and extending his thoughts began in J-Hope's lyrics. If you look back in time, we kind of grew at once with J-Hope songs. On the 2nd of March 2018, J-Hope released his first solo album mixtape Hope World, in which he familiarized us for the first time with the song Blue Side Outro. 3 years later, on the same day, he released an extended version of the song, the first version still being the core of the entire song, setting the theme and the lyrics around which J-Hope tries to define his beginnings. On the 15th of July 2022, J-Hope released his first official album, Jack in the Box. In this album too, he pays homage to his beginnings, but this time his feelings and lyrics come from another place, being of a deeper and darker nature and side of himself. One of these main questions he explores is the one in the song What If, where he asks himself if he would still have become who he is today hadn't he had all the things that he had. On the 29th of March 2024, J-Hope released his second official album, Hope on the Street Volume 1, where we can see an extended version of the song signed as a dance mix. What If Dance Mix? So we kind of notice how the extended versions of J-Hope songs keep being released at certain time intervals, showing not only how perpetual and important are these questions to him, but also the growth he undergoes at once with updating these songs. I think it's also important to notice that he didn't change the song entirely, but he kept their base and built into that. But let's get a little deeper into this. While first listening to What If Dance Mix, I realized that there was something which reminded me a lot of Blue Side, but I wasn't able to point exactly what it was. But after going through the lyrics again, I realized that it was because of the deeper introspection he did while writing the extended parts of both. I think that honestly struck me and made me admire even more his ability to look into himself and be entirely honest with each single side of himself while giving equal light and recognition to each. Surely there are some similarities and differences between both, but firstly, I think that what connects them both is the fact that in both extended versions of Blue Side and What If, he goes even deeper in trying to understand what made those first thoughts so special and expands on those ideas while paying homage to two main aspects of his beginning: the current still burning passion that has its root in his inner child, and the name which gave that passion life. Blue Side is about his inner child, and that place he goes when he wants to remember why he started music and feels the need to connect to that innocent part of himself that, as small as it was, drove him to where he is today. He starts with a simple feeling, the blue vibe, some feeling that wind and sky would bring. Although he didn't begin with a big agenda when writing this song, he said that this song brings him back to the days when he was naive and clueless, quote, blue sky and wind that are full of good memories. The simple feeling of the clueless times later developed into a letter to his younger self, where he describes what does that simple blue vibe mean to him.
돌아가고 싶어 아무것도 모르던 그때로.
In order to understand the roots of this song better, especially the extended version, I highly recommend you read the translation of his letter, which he published alongside with the release of the extended version, and I'll leave it down in the comments below. Now, Blue Side was presented to us in the album where J-Hope first tried to define himself by his name, an album full of hope, hopeful not only through his lyrics, but also through his genre and musicality. As a result, this song has a soft echo of hope in being able to always return to that place and state that gave him enough hope to keep on going until the other extreme of hope. As everything though, hope has a bright and a dark side. This darker side of hope is explored in his second album, where the G found another name beyond the supposed origin of Jung Hoseok. Now, this J represents the jack in the box, that beyond having the supposed meaning of happiness, love, and surprises, also defines itself as luring or deceiving. I believe that taking from this perspective, the extended version of Blue Side being released between these two albums and also the Jack in the Box being present on the art cover of the song represents such a beautiful and meaningful bridge between the two albums, and maybe also the point or the question mark where the last thing in Pandora's box showed its true face and when it got revealed the true nature of the so-called surprise that the toy brings. Moreover, when talking about this bridge between the hopeful child J-Hope and the J-Hope confronted with the reality of hope, the toy inside the box becomes a symbol which represents the transition from ideal to reality. How the hope in the box could have represented an alluring toy for the child to hold into, which later got him in the game he had to play until the end once he assumed for himself that name. Hope himself said that he wished with this second album to express his other side, maybe not so hopeful, and he did this again, not only lyrically but also musically, this time his songs being genres that are harsher and maybe even opposites of what they were in the first album. In the album interview, as he was introducing this track, What If, J-Hope said, quote, "In some sense, the name J-Hope is what made me who I am. As a regular human being, Jung Hoseok, as Jung Hoseok who doesn't have anything, would have been still able to tell stories that I can tell as J-Hope. Isn't it extremely arrogant to think that I would have been able to do so even if I had nothing? I've been thinking about this constantly." End quote. This seems like a main theme of his album, as his first song, Pandora's Box, emphasizes the weight the choice of his name brings. The mention of the innocent young boy brings us back to Blue Side and the point in his experience with his passion and art that keeps him connected to himself. In all these doubts, in the extended version of What If, he realizes that in the end, what truly stayed at the core of these questions was the deep seed planted in his heart in which his younger self had always believed in, but which had its shadows too. That realization made him aware that maybe, indeed, this path was what was always meant for him, as his passion talked through him through those visions, which might have been the same dreams and aspirations he had since young, and that made him embrace his name fully. Although he went through that deep analysis of his name in the first version of the song, in the end he came back to the conclusion that he should continue being the hope no matter how hard it was. Despite everything, there were signs, and he could always go back to that self that believed in him and made him who he is today in order to get that confirmation that he is on the right path, and this is indeed what he's meant to do. Despite this heavy burden, if he was able to make it until now, then it truly might be for him. Surely everything has its bright and dark side, and now that he overcame that shadow that made him doubtful in the first place of his name, that now became a symbol, he was now able to embrace it fully again and even more proudly than before. In the end, undoubtedly, time offers clarity and answers such as it might have done in J-Hope's case. However, what I believe that is truly outstanding in his case is the ability to catch those fleeting realizations, incorporating them into an already immortalized moment, giving them freedom and another shape while maintaining the initial nature and integrity. The initial versions of these songs still have their own meaning and story, while these extended versions are not the reality of him outgrowing them, but proof of being able to grow in and through them.